What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, technically Clay, streaming at you from cloudy and dreary St. Louis, Missouri. It's not looking too nice outside, but that's okay. It's okay. I swear it's okay. Today, or since you last saw me, let's see, I raided with my raid, or with my guild. We, got to the last boss. We got pretty, I think we got to like the third phase and got pretty close. They're probably going to do it tonight, but me and my wife are missing tonight because we're going to a Stranger Things trivia, which should be fun. Um, and then let's see, I'm also wearing my Stranger Things themed shirt as well for that particular occasion. And then I went to sleep, woke up, went to work. Work has still been, pretty, like, I got a lot going on, I guess, compared to usual. So still kind of, hectic, I guess. But I mean, it's not like it's anything that important. I'm just, I'm working. Yeah, I actually have like a decent amount to do on my current piece of work that I'm working on. But then today was an optional workout day for me for Wednesdays, and I did some tangentials. I did some shrugs, I did some curls, I did some skull crushers, and I did some lower abs. So that was basically all I did for my workout. It was really easy, nice and easy, and I loved it. It was the easiest workout I've ever done in like years. When you just do the tiny muscle groups, man, it's so easy. It's so much fun. I love it. Um, and then I kept working, and then I had basically the same thing I had yesterday, just leftover meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans for dinner. And then I got my ass right up here for you people, you, the viewer. Hello. Yeah, with that being said, today I will be drinking a premium Fitz's cream soda. Still on the Fitz's kick, but I might have to diversify pretty soon. I got some Pib Extra in there too that I'm thinking about getting. And then yeah, that is, I guess, about it. I guess I'm ready. I'm ready to hop right into it, and I got a lot of good stuff for you people today. Yeah, I'm always out here doing what's best for the viewer. Okay, you can trust me on that, man. I'm here for you. Okay, so I figured I would go ahead and start with this press conference. This was just from what, like an hour ago or something, a couple hours ago. I can't remember. But we got our girl Caroline Levitt, the press secretary. We got the Muppet himself, Scott Bessent. I call him that because his voice sounds like a Muppet voice. And then I don't know who this lady is. Kelly Loeffler. I don't really know who she is or what she does. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and watch this press conference and see. I think this is about the economy. So the state of the economy. I'm sure everybody out there is going to be in complete agreement with them. I bet the economy is in great shape, and we all definitely feel that way as well, right, people? As patriotic Americans, we must assert that the economy is fine, despite what everybody is saying. So let's see what they have to say here about this.
We'll start with some scheduling announcements. Tomorrow afternoon, President Trump will travel to Las Vegas, Nevada to hold a roundtable and deliver remarks on the working families tax cuts. On Friday, President Trump will travel to Phoenix, Arizona to deliver remarks at a Turning Point USA event at Dream City Church. And I'm really honored to be standing here today on Tax Day with two esteemed members of the president's cabinet.
Tax Day. That's why they're doing it. Okay. This kind of goes along with what they did yesterday, where they took that DoorDash driver and they just like forced her to stand by him for that press conference as he talked about like geopolitics and Iran war stuff or whatever. So okay, so this is all about the like, I'm assuming they're going to talk a lot about the big beautiful bill that made everybody's Medicare payments or Medicaid payments go up significantly, and how that's great for you. So okay, let's let them say it though.
And his excellent economic team, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler. As we have seen this tax season, President Trump's working families tax cuts have put a historic amount of money back into the pockets of the American people this year. On the campaign trail in
Do you feel it, people? Do you feel like you got more money this year than you did before? I don't personally. I feel like I got significantly less money this year than I did last year because everything's so fucking expensive. And also my cat needs like surgery and I've been paying out the wazoo to get all these tests done and stuff. And I'm going to have to keep paying more. Where's my tax refund? Where's my tariff refund? Come on, Trump. It's been so long since it got revoked. Please, I need my tariff refund.
2024, President Trump looked voters in the eye and promised them he would sign the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. And on Independence Day last year, President Trump and congressional Republicans delivered, passing the largest tax cut in history for working and middle-class Americans, including no tax on tips, overtime.
It's just like the exact opposite, though. The vast majority of the tax cuts went to the wealthy. Sure, middle class people, small amount back, and working class people with the no tax on tips probably got some amount back on that. But the vast majority of it went to the billionaires and the Epstein class, and they got like huge tax cuts, and they funded it through cutting Medicaid. So everybody who is on, government health insurance has to now pay significantly more, which, by the way, doesn't just stay in the realm of government health insurance, because if the government health insurance starts to cost more, guess who also raises all of their prices as a consequence? The private health insurances. Without a government competitor that keeps prices low, they're just going to raise their prices as well. So basically, we all are paying a lot more for our healthcare now as well. So that already kind of wipes out any gains that you would have gotten from the tax benefits that the middle and working class might have gotten. But even if it didn't impact your, medical bills and stuff or whatever, just the price of like inflation from all of these wars and the price of oil and gas and all of that is also, and like just general, like the price of meat nowadays, is like $9 a pound or something. Like it's insane for just like ground beef. Like, so yeah, all of that is also wiping out. And also, I don't know if everybody else has had this experience, but my like raises or annual raises that I've been getting have been barely keeping up with inflation lately. So I'm just saying, like, it's like I'm personally not feeling any wealthier this year. Maybe I'm an outlier, but that's how I feel about it.
Social Security. They also passed unprecedented tax relief for small businesses, farmers, workers, and families. With tax day officially here, the numbers prove these tax cuts have been nothing short of extraordinary. More than 53 million filers claimed at least one of President Trump's signature new tax cuts. The average refund this filing season is more than $3,400. The Trump administration has issued more refunds and larger refunds than in any year of the history of our country.
Maybe that's true. Mine was like the exact same. I thought I was going to get more this year, but mine was basically the exact same.
And I will allow Secretary Bessent to break down the numbers in greater detail.
Bring them out.
President Trump and Republicans in Congress have always believed that the American people know how to spend their money better than the government does. But what the American people must not forget is that every single Democrat in Congress voted against these tax refunds. The media has largely omitted this fact and other critical details in their stories covering the benefits of the Trump tax cuts. If the Democrats...
You got it. You got your thing across. Congratulations. I don't understand why you're bitching about it. Even from I just don't think there's any point to doing this, I guess. This isn't going to like win over anybody. This is like just partisanship just for the love of the game or whatever. Like it's like you're not, I don't know. I don't even know who this is for. This like complaining about Democrats not going along with your let's give the billionaires $100 million extra dollars a year bill or whatever, like
Congress had gotten their way and blocked President Trump's historic legislation, Americans would have faced the largest tax hike in history, nearly $4 trillion. The average taxpayer would have seen a 22% increase in their tax rates. Democrats in Congress have proven...
Okay, let me explain this because maybe people don't understand this. That's because the original like 5-year tax cut that Trump did was going to expire. Like it was going to expire, and so then it would have just gone to like a more normal tax rate where the billionaires would have had to pay a lot more. Like that's what would have happened. And so instead he took all of that money or he just kept the process going of like funneling all of our tax dollars and just siphoning them up to the billionaires. But um yeah, it's just who she is. This isn't for anyone else at this point. Yeah, I know. It feels like their messaging. They're like independents don't like that. Obviously, Democratic voters don't like that. Like hyper partisanship. It's like maybe MAGA people might eat a little bit of that up, but I don't think any of them actually watch these press briefings. To be honest, maybe the Fox News boomer audience. That's who it's for.
Over and over again that they are the affordability frauds who believe the government should keep more of the American people's hard-earned money. This president and Republicans in Congress fundamentally believe that Americans deserve to keep more of their hard-earned paychecks. It's a clear contrast for American families to keep in mind. So with that, I will turn it over to our great...
Austerity is what she's talking about. Taking more from the middle and working class and giving it to the upper class. That's what she means when she says that. Because tax laws like this fundamentally benefit the upper class and serve as a way of transferring all of the wealth that you as a working class individual have, like vacuuming all of that out and then just pushing it all up to the top. That's all that this does. So that's, I feel like I'm talking so much on this one, but it's like I have to go through each like lie as it happens to try to explain to people what's actually going on. So, but I'll keep
Treasury
going.
Secretary Scott Bessent, and then we will turn it over to Kelly. Thank you.
I'll probably skip Kelly, but I do want to listen to a little bit of the Muppet himself. He's got like a Kermit voice. That's kind of why I call him that.
Good. Thank you, Caroline. I'm here to tell you
that
it has been a fantastic tax season. It has gone smoothly. It has gone efficiently from the point of view of the IRS, but most importantly, it's been a great tax season for the American people. Thanks to promises made, promises kept, through the working families tax cuts, the president has delivered the record refunds to the American people. More than 45% of the filers of the returns that we have seen have had at least one of the 4 president's signature policies. No tax and tips, no tax and overtime, the deductions for our great seniors, and the deductibility of interest on auto loans for American-made cars.
Yeah, so none of those apply to me, to be honest. I am not currently, paying off a car. I don't make any money through tips or through overtime. So yeah, I guess that makes sense then why I didn't receive any of this. And like, I'm not denying that some people are going to get a bigger refund because of these laws. Like some working class people are. I'm just telling you that it's nothing compared to what the billionaires are getting. And that's what austerity is. It's like it fundamentally, you might see a slight benefit, but billionaires see the overwhelming amount of benefit. And in the end, it's going to push all that money up to them.
And I will tell you that one of those that Americans have taken is no tax on overtime. And it's the American way. If you want to work longer hours, you get to keep more of your money. And with that, we are seeing, I want to encourage everyone out there watching today to change their withholding if they haven't already done so. Because if you change your withholding, then you will get an automatic real wage increase, be on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you will be able to keep more of your money this calendar year. So with that, we have also seen with the Trump accounts, we have had 5 million families file for Trump accounts for their children. 1.2 million of those are eligible for the $1,000 seed bonus. So we look forward to that picking up more and more. For those of you,
by the way, I'm a little bit worried about this whole Trump accounts thing because, like, I'm gonna be honest, this seems like a way to push the ownership or like push the onus of providing welfare for, like, similar to how, like, when they moved from pensions to 401ks, like it pushed the onus of like your retirement funds off of the employer and moved it towards you, the employee. I kind of worry that this is going to do the same thing for things like college tuition or like well, obviously we don't already pay for that, but in terms of like other like social security or something, that's the main thing I'm worried about, is they're going to try to individualize social security and be like, social security isn't working, so instead we're just going to give everybody a we're just going to give everyone a like Trump account when they're born, and that's going to be your social security when you grow up, and you have to manage that as an individual. And if you fuck up, then you're screwed and you die on the street. Like, I'm kind of worried that they're going to do something like that, but I don't know. I'm keeping my eye on that one.
Haven't done it, it's easy to remember. Form 4547. You can do it while you're filing your taxes. You can do it at any point during the year. We think this is going to be transformational in terms of financial literacy. This is Financial Literacy Month, and at Treasury and all over the administration, we are working with the American people, with American families, not only to give them more of their money, but to show them how to invest it in a safe, smart, and sound way. So with that, I will turn it over to Kelly.
Okay, I'm gonna skip over the small business lady. I'm sure that she's girl bossing. I'm sure that she's woke queening everybody, and mogging all of these losers here. But I'm gonna just move past her and go back to the Muppet, because I don't own a small business. Okay, people. Maybe some of my viewers do, but I don't. So I'm gonna skip past it.
Numbers for you all. So tax day statistics as of April 12th. Over 53 million filers, nearly 45% claimed one of President Trump's signature tax cuts. The average tax cut per filer is benefiting from one of President's new tax cuts is over $800. Over 6 million filers have claimed no tax on
$800, people. Congrats. I guarantee you're going to have a healthcare incident at some point on your life, and that $800 and a lot more is going to be like taken away from you. So
tips with an average deduction of $7,100. Over 25 million filers have claimed no tax on overtime with an average deduction of $3,100. Over 30 million seniors have claimed the enhanced deduction for seniors with an average deduction of $7,500. And over 1 million filers have claimed no tax on car loan interest on American cars for an average deduction of over $1,800. The average refund this filing season is over.
Okay, he's just repeating stuff. I might just go straight to the press or to the questions portion. So here, let's see what they got let's see if our reporters can do good reporting and ask some good questions today. It's always, it's always a gamble when it comes to these, if they're going to ask good questions or stupid questions.
That starts with people keeping more of their money.
And one for Caroline, as well as the administration in general, if I may. This past Saturday, I published a video of now former Representative Eric Swalwell in bed.
Bye-bye.
The president's heading to Las Vegas. Well, Eric Swalwell was in Las Vegas in this video. I'm told, according to geotagging, this scandal has erupted now, accusers coming forward, many others coming forward, as well as questions regarding his extremely close relationship with Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego. And I want to know if the administration had any comment on the fact that Senator Gallego seemed to be very vocal about wanting the release of the Epstein files, and yet when questions come to his own involvement with Eric Swalwell, he doesn't seem to want to provide anything.
Yeah, look, I think the accusations and allegations against former Representative Swalwell are despicable and disgusting. I think it's also quite plausible, as you point out, Jack, that there were many other Democrats.
Like, Donald Trump's a pedophile. Like, what the fuck are they talking about? Yes, okay, obviously the shit Swalwell did is awful, and I'm happy that he's gone. But, like, come on, glass houses, right? That is an insane, like, that's like the hypocrisy is too much. I'm gonna explode.
In this town on Capitol Hill who knew about his perhaps illegal behavior, certainly his disgusting and inappropriate behavior, and why were they silent for so long? I think those are questions that must be raised of these sitting representatives, including Mr. Gallego, and I hope that the journalists in this room will do their jobs, and the journalists on Capitol Hill will do their jobs to ask Democrats in power how they knew about such despicable behavior from one of their elected representatives for so long, but never said or did anything about it. So that's what we hope to see as far as the White House and the president is concerned. Thank you. Peter.
Thank you. I have one for you and then one for Secretary Bessent.
Sure.
For you, Caroline, there are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024, they all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
Thank you. And Secretary Bessent, it does.
Yeah, there's one of two things happening. Either there's like actual assassinations happening where, like, I don't know, Iran or counterintelligence from like Russia or somebody, I don't know, maybe. I don't really think that's probably the case though. I would guess that this is just a, like, I mean, I'm somewhat like, I don't dismiss conspiracies outright or whatever, but this one, I think I'm not super confident that it's going to actually, that anything is actually going on. And to some extent, it seems almost like maybe a psyop or something, to try and get people talking about something else. But because I know it's like UFO people, like, right? Like that's what I heard, that people are thinking like, oh, they're trying to kill all the UFO scientists. And that's like that's like a classic CIA, like, you know, psyop sort of like situation. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards.
It doesn't sound like we're going to have $3 a gallon gas by summertime, which we had initially been told by the energy secretary. He now says that it would be very aggressive if we're going to get to the $3 a gallon gas by the summer. So when are we really going to get $3 a gallon gas?
Well, I think that's going to be the up to how the negotiations go. President Trump said this morning that he thinks we're nearing the end. The U.S.
I got some thoughts about that.
Kept their side on the ceasefire. We've stopped
I'm saving
firing.
that for later.
The Straits of Hormuz have not been completely reopened, so we will see. And I'm optimistic that during the summer we will see gas with a 3 in front of it sooner rather than later. It's Bank Week here in D.C., so I've been meeting with a lot of my Middle Eastern counterparts, the finance ministers, and they all say that once the straits are open, they can start pumping again within 1 week.
So not.
I mean, the straits are open if around where I am. You know what I'm saying? Sorry. Okay.
By summer, like
little joke for you guys.
Memorial Day, but maybe by
they're
Labor
open for
Day?
business.
Again, I'm optimistic that sometime between June 20th and September 20th that we can have $3 gas again. And as I said this morning too, we are going to be watching the gas stations because they raise prices very quickly when when the crude oil prices went up. We hope they'll bring them down just as quickly.
They won't unless you force them to. If you allow, there's so much consolidation in the oil market, they will keep those prices as like high as they possibly can. Unless you kind of force them to. I think maybe they could put pressure on them specifically because it's like, you know, there's so much of a backlash to this war and the, you know, relatively minute effects that it's actually having on the American home front. So
as crude oil prices have come down, which they've come down substantially just in the past 10 days.
Great. Sure.
Okay, this is going to be the last question that I'm going to listen to, and then I'm going to move on.
So much, Caroline. Can you give us an update on the president's thinking on the next attorney general? A lot of names have been going around, like Ron DeSantis, Rudy Giuliani, Ed Martin. They're being floated as contenders. What qualities is the president looking for in a new AG?
Oh my God. Did I just hear Rudy Giuliani as attorney general? Oh my God. I didn't think you could get worse than Pam Bondi, but he is literally like I don't know. He's like a corpse at this point, like screaming into the internet, I think. Let me see if I can, Rudy Giuliani recent photo. That's not that recent. Let me get a more recent one. I wanted one from his like TV show, but I guess this will do. This is pretty recent. Guys, are you ready for it? Are you ready for this? For this to be your attorney general? Oh my God. That would be rough, dude. I don't know. He might not, like, I don't know if he would even make it through the entire term if I had to guess. He's like, he is ancient.
And will there be accountability for what many have described as weaponization within Biden's office when he was the president?
Sure. Well, certainly ensuring that there's accountability for the weaponization of justice that took place under the Biden administration is a top priority for this president. With respect to names that are floated, there are always names floated in the press. Sometimes I have a chuckle when I read some of the reports about certain people floated for certain jobs. As far as the president is concerned right now, Todd Blanche remains the acting attorney general. The president feels he's doing a good job, and that's where it remains right now. I don't have any personnel updates for you today.
Okay, maybe one more, because that was a boring question. Let's get one more.
Thank you, Caroline. I have a question for you and also for the Treasury Secretary. First of all, there was an interview that Dr. Mehmet Oz did recently where he described the president's views on his own diet. He said that he argued that diet soda is good for him because it kills grass. And if you pour it onto the grass, the grass is killed and it therefore must kill cancer cells. I'm wondering if you can, was this sort of an accurate description of how the president sees?
Look, as we all know in this room, I think you know the president has a very good sense of humor. It's one of his most underreported characteristics, I would say. I have heard him tell this joke before. I think the Wall Street Journal should get a better sense of humor.
And then another
well, okay. Well,
you,
let's follow up.
Has the president filed his taxes and is he going to release them publicly?
It's actually a very good question. I have not inquired with the president directly about his own taxes, but I'm happy to do so and we'll get you an answer on that.
I assure you that he will not. The amount of, like, if he did, he would not register any of the shit that he has put, that he has siphoned off of, like, the like that golden jet or that he got from Qatar, or all the billions of dollars that people are spending to be on his board of peace that he's, you know, funneling into some island in the Cayman Islands or whatever. Like, there's no way that he is reporting all of the money that he has made as president, and it's an ungodly amount. I don't personally believe that he was a billionaire before he became president and Trump too, but now I do firmly believe it, with the amount of money that people have just been doling out to him. But okay, well, that's that.
United States.
That is that. That was a decent press conference, but let's go ahead and move on now to Iran content. We talked about the economy. We talked about how I can't afford anything anymore because everything's so expensive. And now we're going to go into one of the main causes of things being more expensive, at least for the foreseeable future, and that is Iran. So the last time we heard, there was the blockade that America put out there around Iran's blockade. And we saw that a Chinese ship was allowed through, or like America didn't stop a Chinese ship, which essentially, you know, destroyed the idea of a blockade. But I don't know. We'll catch up. We'll see if the blockade's working now, if that was just a fluke that those Chinese ships got through. And maybe now it's working. And then also I know that we sent a bunch more troops to the Middle East. So let's go and watch this Morning Joe clip. Oh my God. I've talked about it before, but Morning Joe is potentially one of the most annoying shows that has ever existed. I think it might be the most annoying show, but you know what? They were one of the few ones I could find talking about the surge of troops to the Middle East. So we're going to watch them. Let's go ahead and listen to Morning Joe.
States military blockade of Iranian ports is now stretching into its third day as the White House continues its bid to put economic pressure on Tehran. U.S. Central Command said yesterday that no ships made it past the blockade in the first 24 hours, adding that 6 merchant vessels had complied with directions by radio from U.S. forces to turn around and re-enter Iranian ports, although it did not identify the ships or the ports. CENTCOM also noted the mission involves 10,000 American troops, more than a dozen warships, and an array of aircraft. As the Pentagon published,
AKA unsustainable. I don't even know why they released that stuff, to be honest, because all I hear is like, you know, like all of my tax dollars being vacuumed out of my pocket every time I hear that, man. like that's not good. It shouldn't, like, why are we doing this? Please stop.
publicly portrays confidence in the blockade. There are signals, however. Some ships may be testing the waters. The New York Times reports, citing ship tracking data, that one vessel under U.S. sanctions, the Chinese tanker Rich Starry, traveled eastward through the strait yesterday before turning around. Another Iran-linked ship also appeared to make it through the strait during the blockade, but the paper notes the vessel was offline yesterday, so it was not clear what its path had been. The Wall Street Journal cites 2 U.S. officials who say more than 20 commercial ships not linked to Iran have passed through the strait over the past day, a fraction of what it was before the war, but an improvement in flow through the critical waterway. Meanwhile,
Yeah, so those ships, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're not associated with Iran, but I guarantee you that even if they were associated with Iran or going through Iran ports and they made it through just like, testing the waters, America would say that it was that they weren't in order to save face. So I don't know. Maybe they're actually enforcing it now. Who knows? It's really hard to tell because I don't trust anything our military says. I trust some of what the New York Times say if they're doing, analysis of the signals from the ships and stuff. So like to some extent I could see that, but I've also heard conflicting reports on this as well. So who knows, to be honest.
While the Washington Post reports the Pentagon is sending thousands of additional troops to the Middle East.
Also, I want to be clear. If it doesn't really matter. It's a non-issue because as soon as the war starts up again, which it likely will, they're just going to start like bombing ships and stuff. Like they're going to, any ship that doesn't go through their toll system is going to be bombed. If America is still implementing a blockade and not getting, missile struck all the time, like if they're far enough away that they're not getting constantly struck with missiles, then America is just going to tell them to turn around and then it'll just be completely empty, at which point Iran is going to blow up all of the Gulf state oil capacity so that nobody's getting out of the strait. So like, what I'm saying? It's really like, this is something that I think America can only do while they have this ceasefire. I think that once the ceasefire ends, it just goes back to a kinetic battle, just like it was before. And the blockade is irrelevant except for being more targets for Iran to hit.
In the coming days, according to U.S. officials who spoke to the Post, the move is designed to pressure Iran into a deal. The Trump administration is still considering additional strikes or possible ground operations if the ceasefire does not hold.
So my guess, and I always say this, is trust the ground movements more than what the U.S. is saying. What usually happens is there is some sort of like, there's some sort of reporting that comes out of like, they have made some sort of breakthrough, right? There's been a breakthrough and America and Iran are on the same page. And then, right after that is when America usually strikes, when they kind of like pretend like they are being serious about negotiations and pretend that there's a breakthrough, and then they usually strike again. And so I would be on the lookout for that, but trust the troop movements. If the troops are going there, that means it's likely that they're going to engage in more either airstrikes or potentially a ground invasion of some sort. So, but I don't really know. We'll see what happens, but that's, my gut is leaning towards where this conflict is going to restart again pretty soon. And this was just an opportunity to rearm all of America's ships and to rearm Israel and to get, pull as many defense interceptors from all of our other allies and move them to the actual ally, which is Israel.
Current and former officials tell the paper about 6,000 more troops will be added to the already assembled 50,000 personnel in the region. That all comes as behind-the-scenes talks to set up more in-person negotiations between the United States and Iran continue. President Trump said yesterday negotiations could resume over the next 2 days, possibly being held once again in Pakistan's capital. So, Joe, let's talk about the blockade, what these developments mean, and then we'll get to the issue of troops heading there.
Well, talking to people in the region yesterday, U.S. allies said, again, may have been reluctant originally for us to go to war, but after we went to war saying we've got to finish the job. There was a growing unease.
Hey, David. Yeah, doing pretty good today. There hasn't been a ton of new stuff from the war, from what I can tell. We're like, the blockade is still on, and we're sending more troops over there. I don't think anything has happened in terms of negotiating or anything, though. So we're just watching them talk about the new troops right now, the new troops being sent out there.
That the United States was going to get a bad deal in Islamabad. There was a growing unease that the president may come home, bring the troops home before getting the job done. They are actually very positive about the blockade and have signed on to what I am sure historians will long remember as the Haas plan. The Richard Haas plan, who Richard 10 days ago started saying it's all or nothing. You either let all of the ships go in and out of the strait, or you let none of them go out. They believe the dynamics have changed radically, and that Iran went from having time on their side to Iran now.
See, this is what I said would happen as well, is that America is going to completely, they're going to think that this actually somehow changes the fundamental issues on the ground. And it's why I also said that it wasn't the best move for Iran to even agree to a temporary cessation of missile strikes, because America is going to interpret that the way it always interprets everything, as capitulation. And then they're going to, pretend they're like I said, this blockade thing is not that big of a deal. And as soon as the actual kinetic war starts up again, it's not going to change anything. And so we are actually in the same position that we were before. It's just there's this cessation of firing that makes America feel a little bit overconfident right now. And Trump in particular, I think, feel confident. But as soon as it starts back up again, though, I think that we'll be back to where it was. It's also why I said that Iran agreeing to this ceasefire may not have been the best thing to do for it strategically in terms of getting the best outcome they possibly can from a negotiations perspective, and why I think China may have played a pretty big role in getting them to even stop their missile strikes for the time being. So. But America is I think it's clear that America is going to overplay its hand and what it thinks it deserves in this ceasefire, and only the battlefield, seeing the result on the battlefield, is going to be the only way to show America what reality is.
Understanding they are going to have to eventually come to a deal, because as we've always said from the beginning of this war, the military targets have been hit in Iran, a good number of them. But economically, Iran was doing better, trading oil and moving their oil across the globe and getting good money for it than they had in years. That's now changed. So the attitude, not only inside the administration, but also among a lot of Gulf allies now, is they're degraded radically when it comes to their military operations. And now they're really starting to feel the heat economically if the United States, they say, will continue the blockade.
It's a temporary, even if they're telling the truth and that they are stopping any oil shipments to China or whatever. For one, that's a diplomatic relations issue for China as well. They're going to want that, they're going to want that oil coming through. So there's that aspect. But then they're just, this is why America gets so overconfident from even the slight idea of a performative victory, and that this I think might play, people might think of this, be able to convince themselves that this is some sort of victory. We'll see when the missiles start flying again. We'll see how much of a victory it is. Those ships are going to make great target practice, I'm sure. Those blockade ships are going to make great target practice for the Iranian missiles. But yeah, I don't know. And Joe and I forgot her name. They're very hawkish as well. So take that in as a for what their bias is. They are very like pro-Iran war in general and pro-war in general. So Mika, that's her name, I think. So yeah, take that in mind as well when they're talking about this.
A lot of other things happening. Let's bring in contributing editor at the Financial Times, Kim Gattaz. Kim, we can talk about the blockade, we can talk about the troops coming in, but of course, what is also fascinating is direct talks now between Lebanon and Israel. Tell us about that, the prospects of it, and if it may bring an end to the suffering that's going on in your country.
Good morning, Joe. Great to be.
I have a video on that from yesterday, so I kind of want to skip ahead to where they talk about the troop deployment. So if you care about my opinion on those negotiations, big picture is I think it's a sham. It's not going to turn into any sort of lasting peace. But I assumed that Chiron would change, but I guess not. Let's maybe, this all looks like Lebanon. So let's try it over here maybe.
Kim, the next question I ask is going to sound like a leading question. It is not a leading question. I'm just curious. We see these strikes against apartments. We see these strikes against residential.
Okay, this seems like more Lebanon stuff. So maybe they don't talk about the troop deployment anymore, from what I can tell. But yeah, my guess is that, like I said, the troop deployment indicates to me that they're going to restart this war. And like I said, it usually comes after a breakthrough. Like if there's a news of like some sort of breakthrough or something in the media, or like in terms of negotiations where US is pretending to be, to come back to the table for realsies or whatever, then that's when it usually happens, is when we usually strike them. So I would be on the lookout for that. But okay, let's go and move on to something else. I'm going to skip the Fox News one because it's probably more of the same.
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni.
So we'll go to this Al Jazeera video. So we're going to talk about some of the global ramifications now from the Iran war. Sorry about that. So there's been a few things happening in the terms of like the world, like world politics, where Israel is finally starting to receive some of the effects of pariah status. Like we've known it's a pariah for a while now. They've really these countries have taken way too long to, try and do anything like that is even like mildly materially affecting the conditions of Israel or whatever, as opposed to like performative stuff. So they're finally people are finally starting to diplomats from foreign countries are finally starting to try and distance themselves from Israel to some extent. We've seen Spain, right? I think Spain completely shut off all arms shipments or something, or it may be even a complete a complete blocking of exports to Israel or something, if I remember correctly. I know South Korea recently put up a video. One of their staff members in the government put up a video, and the president or something said that they were going to look into it, of Israel committing atrocities in Gaza, I think, or maybe it was the West Bank. And now it looks like the Italian MP is also starting to get on is also starting to realize what time it is. And the time is fuck Israel o'clock. So Italian, this is Meloni's Israel U-turn too late and proof of political cowardice, Italian PM. So this is by Al Jazeera. So we'll see what's going on with the Italian MP, sorry. We'll see what's going on with Italy and their relationship with Israel now.
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is under growing political pressure over the country's ties to Israel. On Tuesday, the government suspended a military cooperation agreement between the two countries in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon over the past month. But now opponents are accusing Meloni of failing to stand up to Israel over its genocidal war on Gaza. A recent speech in Parliament by MP Angelo Bonelli accusing the Prime Minister of political cowardice has gone viral. Well, Angelo Bonelli is an Italian member of Parliament. He is the co-spokesperson of the Europa Verde.
by the way, I completely agree. I completely agree with this guy. That is way too little, way too late. In fact, all of this, like I've said before, my policy position is like we should have embargoed, sanctioned, we should have like done all of that to Israel way long ago. Like even before October 7th, we should have been doing that shit. But like post October 7th, we should have like fucking invaded Israel and like forced them into peace. They are like Israel is not going to be stopped like with anything other than like complete and total like they are like without like complete and total capitulation at the end of a gun. Like you need people. It's like when the Nazis were expanding in Germany, and there was no way that you could capitulate to them or like try and stop them with peaceful negotiations or anything. The only thing that actually ended up stopping the Nazis was when external actors came in and started forcing the Nazis back from the territories that they were trying to acquire. So that's what I'm saying is we need militaries to go in and protect Lebanon. I would say let's put America's military out there or something, like to go in and start protecting Lebanon. Honestly, it wouldn't even have to get that far, because as soon as you, I think, start sanctioning and really sanctioning and making Israel like economically destitute, I think that they would be forced into peace through that manner. But we've let them go so far that we still need to protect all of those innocent people that they're trying to kill and all of that, territory that they're trying to seize illegally. So
the opposition party is the leader of the Italian Green and Left Alliance, and he's joining us live from Rome. Thank you very much indeed for being with us on Al Jazeera. So you say that Prime Minister Meloni hasn't been standing up to Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Now she says Italy is not going to renew its defense agreement with Israel. Is that enough?
First of all, thank you for your invitation. Yes, yesterday, Giorgia Meloni, the president of the Italian government, suspended the military cooperation agreement with Israel. I repeat, suspended and not revoked. She revoked only after the Italian soldiers of the United Nations mission were attacked by the Israeli army. In the last 2 years, I asked Prime Minister Meloni to revoke the military agreement with Israel. When the Israeli army bombed Gaza, destroyed schools and hospitals, and killed 70,000 women and children. You know what did she tell me about my request? That the military agreement for the Italian government was a diplomatic tool and that it meant maintaining dialogue with Israel. How could a...
Yeah, I mean, I think that... let's be real, though. This isn't about Israel. This is about America. They maintain relations with Israel, and other countries retain relations with Israel, not because Israel is some like great boon to their economy or something, or like to some extent they might get military technology or whatever from them that have been practiced on the Palestinian like slaves that they keep or whatever. They get to train all of their facial recognition software on all of the slaves that they keep in Gaza or what, so to some extent, maybe they get some sort of like benefit in terms of their own, like if they're trying to also like institute a police state to prevent uprisings or whatever, right? Like to some extent they might be benefiting from that. But the primary reason that they all are so scared to ever say anything or do anything of material consequence against Israel is specifically because they want to maintain relations with the United States. And they're just scared of the United States, and they're scared of a world without the United States at the forefront and at the center. Now that's starting to change, because people are starting to be just as scared of a world with the United States as the like leader and at the forefront of geopolitics, because of how destabilizing we are. And so I think that it is going to start changing in the future. But yeah, we need more countries doing actual material, like not symbolic, but like material, like things that affect Israel materially. And for sure, like sanctions and all that stuff. That needs to be number one, is sanction them. But yeah.
Dialogue would be maintained with cooperating with weapons. And so yesterday, Meloni decided to suspend the agreement, but only after when the Italian soldiers were attacked by the Israeli army.
We saw previously in Italy, cities around Italy, huge demonstrations that were held when Israel was carrying out its war in Gaza. Can you just give us an idea of how deeply people in Italy feel about Israel, the attacks that it carries out in the Gulf region and also to Lebanon and, of course,
Sorry about that. If I remember correctly, the Italian people were out there in force, trying to like stop shipments and stuff. If I think I remember them like blocking the ports and stuff. So the people, like most working class people in the world, are against Israel, and the Italians maybe even more so than like say Americans. But their government and the people in power, obviously, like I said before, were more scared of like going against America than anything else. So
in Gaza.
Yes. Oh, in Italy, but not only in Italy, in Europe, there is a big sentiment to support the people, Palestinian people, because we have in face of us a big violation of international law from Benjamin Netanyahu. All the Italian people, the very big majority said stop the war, and we want to rebuild the international law that was destroyed from Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. And so we need to rebuild the international law because we have to be very clear. The war needed to Netanyahu to maintain their power and escape their criminal responsibilities in front of history, big responsibility to make a genocide in Gaza.
You said Prime Minister Meloni should resign.
I mean, I agree with that, but I'm not hopeful. I think the international law is going to be dead for a while until there's a major like World War type situation that eventually is forced in the aftermath of that, in some sort of multipolar world where China is at the front or something. Maybe at that point there could be a rebuilding of international norms and laws, but yeah, right now I don't see that happening anytime soon.
She's also one of the few leaders around the world who actually seems to have some sort of sway with Donald Trump. Isn't it better for Italy to actually be in the room with Donald Trump
Stupid
rather
argument.
than outside?
Of course, what happened? Giorgia Meloni, the president of the Italian government, support all the position of Donald Trump. For example, the question on Venezuela, Maduro was kidnapping from Trump. Also, when Trump said that tonight I will cancel the Iranian civility.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go and paraphrase. The reason why it's stupid to like just be in this or like try to capitulate in order to maintain access to Donald Trump is because that access gives you nothing. Like it gives you nothing. The only thing that it gives you is a lack of direct confrontation. But that direct confrontation is going to come for you regardless, eventually. Like Italy might not be at the front of the list in terms of like who Donald Trump wants to fuck with and who he wants to like immiserate and like steal their territory or their land or their resources from or whatever. But they're on the list. We're going to get to them eventually. So the only thing that you get from like giving any sort of capitulation to fascist bullies like Donald Trump is just like a temporary reprieve of like the worst instincts. And also, if you just even barely turn around and like try to maintain like just save face even with your people by pretending like you're not a subservient dog to America, like military empire, then he will immediately turn on you again and put whatever, whatever disciplinary measures, whether it's tariffs or what, like, he'll just implement them immediately after that anyway. So like, you either have to be a complete and total vassal, which will stave off him like raping your country for, a few years maybe, or you have some principle and say like, fuck you, I'm not going to do all this shit. And then you get at least some semblance of sovereignty, but you will have to suffer like maybe some tariffs or something. Those are like really the only two options when it comes to dealing with Trump and America right now.
And but what happened? 2 days ago, Trump attacked the Pope, even posting on his social media him like a Jesus Christ. Today, Trump said he was chosen by God to wage war. For me, we are faced with a psychiatric case. But what happened? What happened that Meloni knows that to stay too close to Trump is very, very negative for her and for her consensus. And so decided to say that Trump's words were unacceptable. And so this is the reason. But I'm not very, very sure that this position is a broken relation with Trump. We have to see what happens in the next days.
Angela Bonelli, Italian Member of Parliament, we appreciate you being.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's some good info. We got to hear an actual real-life Italian accent and everything, talk about Italy's new relationship or new status quo with Israel that I guess involves some refusing to have revoking military cooperation agreements or something. So yeah, I mean, just more of that, please. At the very least, like, it's only going to accelerate the more countries feel that it's safe to criticize Israel. Solidarity is a hell of a drug. Once enough people are doing it, then all of a sudden everybody feels safe and advocating for human rights and stuff. So okay, let's go and move on.
Also some break.
So this is something I saw it popped up right before I came here to stream for you guys. So I don't really know anything about it at all, but apparently there's been impeachment articles introduced against Pete Hegseth, or Pete Kegsbreath, as I like to call him. As lots of people like to call him. I didn't come up with that, people. I'm not that clever. But anyway, this is so this should just go into that. We'll see what they have to say. This is impeachment articles introduced against Pete Hegseth by CBS News.
Also some breaking news, articles of impeachment introduced in Congress against none other than Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The allegations: abuse of power, politicization of the armed forces, and obstruction of congressional oversight. So let's talk about it. CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small. Torian, let's get right to these articles of impeachment, the who, what, where, when, and why. Who's behind this, and what's the why?
Yeah, Representative Yasmin Ansari from Arizona. She's putting forth this after telegraphing it earlier in the week that this is the direction that she's going. In these articles of impeachment, there are about 6 articles here. It's for unauthorized war use against Iran and reckless.
Okay, that one's true, I'm pretty sure.
Endangerment of United States service members, violation.
Yeah, probably. I mean, this war is stupid and pointless, so I could give you that one.
Violations of the law of armed conflict and targeting civilians.
That one's 100%. That's like their whole goal. That's what he says their whole goal is, to lethality max or whatever, to kill as many civilians as possible. Like, that's his words, not mine, Like, so I think that one's a slam dunk.
Negligence and reckless handling of sensitive military information, obstruction of Congress and oversight, abuse of power, politicization of the armed forces.
I don't know about those other two.
Forces and conduct.
Politicization of the armed forces, 100%. That's another thing that he just straight up said that was one of his goals going in, is like he wants to recreate like the recreate the military in like a white Christian male manner or whatever, like he wants to get rid of all the wokes, all of the various identities that he doesn't like. And just, remake it in the image of modern republicanism. And so, I mean, that one's also a slam dunk.
Bringing disrepute upon the United States and its armed services.
Well,
I do want to...
That's also undeniable at this point. Everybody thinks that we're a joke, especially considering how little we were able to accomplish militarily with Iran.
Point out, though, that the likelihood that this goes anywhere is pretty low, especially considering this is a member of the minority party who it's unclear if she got backing or the support from Democratic leadership before moving forward with this. On top of that, the threshold for articles or impeaching a cabinet member is pretty high, considering it would have to go through the Senate, even if all Democrats were to support this measure and a handful of Republicans needed to pass it through a simple majority of the House for it to actually stick. But I also got to point out the parallel here between what we saw in the last administration when Republicans looked to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. While it did just narrowly pass out of the House, he was impeached after unsuccessfully being impeached their first effort. It ultimately was dismissed by the Senate, even though the majority in the Senate were Republicans at that time.
Okay, this begs a question relative to the articles of impeachment. So right now, as you point out, minority party, it doesn't look like this could have a lot of legs going forward. But what happens if the Democrats take Congress after the midterms? Could this be a bellwether of a plan by Democrats to maybe pursue impeachment again against Mr. Hegseth and other members of the Trump administration?
Sure, it depends on where Democrats want to expend their political capital. Assuming that it's best case scenario for them after the midterms, they win both the House and Senate. Again,
I mean, I kind of, like, I don't know. Like, I think that, I agree that this is not going to go anywhere. It'll probably never go anywhere, to be honest. I have very little faith that we are going to hold any of these people accountable. Unless there's like a vast and sweeping change in like the general morality of the of Americans. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think a lot of people even care that like we commit war crimes that much. Like, most people are just unaware. I think if you told people, most people would be like, okay, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. But I think that most people are just unaware and are not willing to put in the time and effort to understand, the evils that we commit abroad. And it's not like it's a fun subject to learn about either. So, so without like that and like just a general change in the mentality of Americans, I don't know. I just don't have a ton of faith that these people are ever going to be held accountable. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I will gladly be wrong on this one. But
again, the threshold in the Senate for this to actually stick would be pretty high. It would require 2/3 majority there. So there's just no pathway for it that actually being substantive. And then also it could be pretty divisive when they're looking to regroup.
I gotta use the bathroom.
2028. So I think what we could see is an effort to reintroduce these articles of impeachment, but whether or not it will have broad Democratic support in the new membership there, assuming that Democrats turn the tide and win in November, would still mean that the likelihood for Hegseth to be impeached and then removed is still very low, Reed.
Okay, now let's move on to what has been a roller coaster of a ride in Congress relative to a couple of representatives. Of course, we know California Democrat Eric Swalwell and Texas Republican Tony Gonzalez. They resigned from Congress. So what does this mean as we look at the balance of power going into the midterms?
Yeah, Reed, 4 vacant seats right now because of this, and potentially 2 more, bringing that up to 6, considering that there are still lawmakers looking at an expulsion resolution for the 2 Florida members in Sheila McCormick, a Democrat, and Corey Mills, a Republican. Obviously, those are different reasons from what we saw for the ousters of Tony Gonzalez and Eric Swalwell this week. Mills is also accused of sexual misconduct, but also accepting weapons deals while in office. McCormick was convicted by a House Ethics Committee investigation of money laundering, as she's also undergoing a criminal investigation.
I was listening to it while I was using the bathroom, but we got a lot of criminals in Congress. And I guess I didn't need these guys to tell me that. I just assumed they're all crooks. But yeah, we got some bad people up there in Congress. We need I don't know. We need way more accountability for those cretins.
So it's a different but also similar in many ways calls from lawmakers, bipartisan group of lawmakers that are looking to remove what they're seeing as this growing number of lawmakers who are just not fit to serve or continue out their terms. They're also still calling on them to resign. It's very rare that a lawmaker is expelled from Congress. The last time we saw that was George Santos. So we'll see what happens if this pressure campaign.
George Santos, man, those were the days. He was the most fun, I think, out of the scandals, because he was like a character. Like he was a character. He was basically a character from a movie. Like he was a like like a gay he like pretended to be like a Jew, but he wasn't actually a Jew, that like did like just kind of scammed his way from like, you know, petty scam to petty scam until he finally like got like, you know, that the traders game or whatever, like they have it in The Office where you start with a P and then you trade your way up until finally like Dwight ends up with like a telescope at the end from like just getting successively better things through trades. That was like how George Santos ended up in Congress. He just like scammed his way little by little, and the scams just kept getting bigger and bigger until finally he somehow ended up in Congress. Man, I missed that was like one of the funniest, you know, one of the funniest sort of crimes, or like, I guess crimes that he really just lied in order to get into Congress, but he was a scam artist, so he committed many crimes along the way. But that was one of the best ones that we ever had. It was a lot more fun than, you know, all the sexual assault ones that are happening right now. But okay, let's go and move on. So that's articles of impeachment. You know, I hope that like I'll hope that they go through, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. I don't even have faith that we're going to get them like after the fact, even after Dems potentially get like the president, like even if Dems get like the presidency, Senate, and Congress, it would need to be a fundamentally Democratic party if they were going to actually go after these people and like put them behind bars. And maybe it will be. It would take a huge mass movement to force the, you know, the old guard of the Democratic Party to finally like go along with this, or else like, you know, there's going to be like mass riots or something. Like I think maybe if that were the case, then maybe it could happen, and eventually that will happen once people's material conditions are bad enough. But I just don't know if we're there yet. So let's see. Up next we got this takeout. This is CBS News again. I'm doing double CBS. I just can't get enough of that Barry Weiss, I guess. So we're gonna watch this one. This is Graham Platner. I think this is just an interview with him. I think that he's doing pretty good in Maine for his Senate race. So this is called Maine Senate Candidate Platner on his double-digit primary lead. We're going to continue pushing, is what it says. So let's go ahead and see what our favorite Antifa super soldier, former Reddit edgelord, current Antifa super soldier, Platner has to say in this interview.
Welcome back to The Takeout. A series of new polls show progressive Democrat Graham Platner with a double-digit, you heard that right, double-digit lead in Maine's Senate primary over to Governor Janet Mills. We are joined now by Democratic candidate for Senate in Maine, Graham Platner. Graham, it's good to have you on the program. I appreciate you taking the time. Let me just ask you straight up. Do you believe the primary contest with you and the governor is effectively over?
I'm not. Look, I'm definitely coming at this from the perspective of somebody who was not in politics. I was an oyster farmer full time up until August of last year. And, I'm engaged in a political primary against the sitting governor who has a lot of support from the political establishment. And so for me, there's kind of, we're going to continue pushing forward the way we've been pushing forward, regardless. And in some ways, what's lucky for us is that the kind of campaign that we've built, which is so focused on organizing and so focused on being out all around the state, talking to people directly, it essentially looks the same whether or not we're in a primary or we aren't. It's this exact strategy that I think is going to build the power to beat Susan Collins come November. And we're just going to continue moving on with that.
Because it has been written that internally your campaign is really not focused on the governor anymore and is girding for a general election campaign. Is that true?
I mean, it would be true in the sense that we're just continuing to build exactly what we've been building. The electoral strategy to beat Susan Collins, in my opinion, needs to be one that is focused on engaging with Mainers directly, which means field organizing, means going out into communities and holding very public town halls, being very accessible to people. That strategy is what we've been doing since August, and we're going to continue doing exactly that. And so we haven't shifted anything, I'll be entirely honest. We're just continuing to put our energy and our time into building out that exact same kind of.
This is the stuff that I don't care that much about these questions. I'm hoping they get to some better questions for him after this, but
strategy. And we're going to keep doing it after the primary once we win. But it's going to continue looking essentially like what we're building right now.
Looking ahead to the general election, a spokesperson for the Republican Senatorial Committee said, and I quote, "As Maine's Democrat base turns to the radical liar Graham Platner, Schumer, meaning Chuck Schumer's dream of beating Susan Collins, is slipping further out of sight." How do you respond to that?
What?
A, that you're a liar, that you're a radical, and that hopes of beating Susan Collins with you leading the Democratic ticket is slipping further out of sight.
Well, I fully expect the Republican Party to say as many awful and slanderous things about me as possible. It's important to remember this is the party that said Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States, and that also tried to swift boat John Kerry. So I don't expect good behavior out of the Republicans come the general. That being said, they should read the polling. We've got a lot of consistent polling. I think at this point we're up to 12 consecutive polls, which always show my candidacy beating Susan Collins at significantly higher margins.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like, they're just wish casting. They do this a lot in Republican circles where they really try to like pretend like left populism is somehow not like incredibly popular with like the majority of people. Like they try to pretend like moderate corporate centrist Democrat is like somehow a more electable position than like left populist. And obviously the reason that they're doing that is to try to get people I think they're aiming that generally towards Democratic primary voters to get them to be scared of voting for Graham Platner, because they know what we know. And they like, if Graham Platner is actually like the easier candidate for the Republicans to defeat, then they wouldn't say anything. They would just be like, okay, let's just let him win or whatever. What they're trying to do is they're trying to change it so that Graham Platner doesn't win because they think it would be easier to defeat, the corporate centrist Dem that Schumer picked or whatever, as opposed to a left populist. And they do that sort of stuff all the time. Once you see the pattern, it's really hard to unsee it.
Than Chuck Schumer's pick. So, I'm a Democrat in Maine. I'm wary of polling, but there is a consistency to it that engenders a bit of confidence.
Graham,
yeah, and generally, I think a lot of people understand at this point that left populism, if you want to talk about like what independents or even like conservative, conservatives, like what they prefer if they were going to choose between like say Bernie Sanders and Chuck Schumer, right? Where Bernie Sanders is objectively the more left candidate. Like they are, like Bernie Sanders is like the more radical left candidate. and Chuck Schumer is the more centrist corporate Democrat. If you ask most Republicans which they would vote for if they had to choose between those two, I think most of them would say Bernie Sanders. Same with most independents. I think most of them would say Bernie Sanders. And like, I think that's all you really need to know about like what is actually more electable. Like, I'm glad we're finally moving past this idea that the Schumer-backed, corporate-backed Democratic candidate is always like inherently more electable or whatever. That was always a lie, but it took people a long time to actually finally understand that it was a lie.
There have been a lot of things said about you, things you have written on Reddit, a tattoo you had, and a controversy around that. And I want to ask you
this Reddit edgelord phase, it's coming back, guys. I don't know.
this, because I don't think it's been put to you this.
I hope that I never have I hope I never run for office and then my edgelord phase gets brought back into the limelight. That wouldn't be good. Luckily for me, I was never a Reddit guy, so all of my edgelordiness existed purely in the realm of reality in an era where not everything was being recorded all the time. And so I think that my edgelord nature, for the most part, died, like, you know, is no longer visible. I don't think anyone can really find it if I had to guess, but I don't know. There's probably something out there if people looked hard enough.
Tattoo you had and a controversy around that. And I want to ask you this, because I don't think it's been put to you this way before. Is there anything you've done or said that you regret that did not come from the stresses you internalized from post-traumatic stress itself? That is to say, is PTSD the explanation for everything, or did you also just make some additional human errors that you want to explain or contextualize?
This seems like a leading question. He's basically asking, do you blame every one of your problems on your PTSD? Which is like kind of a dumb question because like, you know, mental illnesses and like PTSD, which is a disorder, like it's something that is imposed upon you, something that you don't necessarily control. They all play into things, but you can't ever say that something you did was 100% your disorder or 100% you. It's always a mixture of both. Once you have a disorder, that's just the way it is. You're not like able to turn it on or off like a light switch. So this is kind of a silly question. We'll see how he handles it though.
Yeah, I'll be upfront. I've never laid the entire fault of my previous opinions at earlier parts of my life at the feet of only post-traumatic stress. I mean, when I left the military, I came out of a hyper-masculine, hyper-violent place. I did 4 tours in the infantry. We have a crude sense of humor in the infantry. We certainly have I would say, narrow view of a lot of topics. And that colored my opinions and my beliefs. Once I left and came out and interacted in the civilian world with lots of different people with very different experiences than my own, many of those beliefs and thoughts and even just language changed significantly over time. I didn't have some of those. I mean, some of that was not because of my combat service, but much of it was because of the culture I had come out of. And over the years in between, I've met a lot more people, had a lot more experiences, learned a lot more about the world, and my opinions have changed with it.
Well, that's a decent answer. That's good. And I'm always like willing to accept people if they show real growth. You know, even like former hogs. I don't mind. You know, I don't mind having people like if they can actually prove to me that they have changed and that they don't harbor you know, some of their terrible thoughts that they had or whatever back in the day, or at least like they are you know, they have done the actions that are necessary for me to trust that they have actually changed and aren't just rhetorically trying to trick me or something. I think that he has enough of a history now since his his edgelord Reddit days and his like Totenkopf tattoo days, which I kind of believe that one might have just been a mistake. Like everybody, I think that was one of those situations where everybody in the military was getting a Nazi tattoo and he just didn't know what it was and just got it. but yeah, I don't know. I trust Graham Platner at this point that he's actually made the changes. And if he proves me wrong, then, I'll just, I don't, I'm not going to be there defending him if he proves me wrong. But yeah.
You have said recently that 2 Supreme Court justices deserve to be impeached. Which ones?
Well, he's lucky he just said that. I think they deserve a little bit more than that.
Well, actually, my language is that if we held Supreme Court justices to the same ethics standards that we hold all other federal judges, there's a compelling case for the impeachment and removal of at least 2. And that would be Thomas and Alito. Their relationships with billionaires, their almost blatant corruption at this point, I think is very worthy of investigation and looking into with the same ethics standards that we hold every other judge to.
You've also said, if I have this correct, that Supreme Court justices should serve only 18 years, not lifetime appointments. Do I have that right?
Yes, I'm very much for term limits for Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, me too.
Let me ask, lifeline.
I think most people are, like most normal people understand that like giving people like unlimited power for their entire lives is not like the best idea.
Let me ask you about this. In that sense, Ruth Bader Ginsburg served on the court for 27 years.
Yeah, she
Thurgood
should
Marshall, 24 years. Earl Warren, 16 years. But Earl Warren went on the record after retiring from the court saying he wished he never had, that he should have stayed on the court to preserve the court's orientation that he saw, which was a liberal/progressive one, as Chief Justice. So with that as context, and I imagine you think those are all 3 substantially important justices in the history of the Supreme Court, why 18 years?
Yes. Because I think that lifetime appointments are inherently undemocratic.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
Why. And one of my issues with kind of structures is that you wind up with situations where you can always point to it and say, well, if it would have been good because of these very specific people that were in it. And that could be true. But other times we find ourselves with we don't always have the Warren Court. And I do think that
well, and also just think about it this way. What does this encourage, right? This sort of idea of of lifetime appointments encourages people to strategically retire or strategically die, I guess, or strategically not retire. In Ruth Bader Ginsburg's case, where she stayed on and died in the court in order to give a conservative majority or whatever, I mean, I'm not saying she did it intentionally, but that was the outcome of her narcissism. And so you just get all of these situations where people are just planning and strategically trying to decide whether they should stay on or retire or not. If it was just a fixed 18 years and that was that, then that would definitely get rid of a lot of those situations. And really, I think it should be I was just thinking every president or something nominates 2 or something. Every 4 years, you add 2 to the court, remove 2 from the court, something like that. Then you just get a constant rotation. Maybe it doesn't have to be the president or whatever our normal judicial process for getting judges is. But something like that would also be good. So that way you just get constant, they keep up with the times. You get more new blood every 4 to 6 years, whatever cadence we want to do it. And then we don't also have to be stuck with a court that is ideologically one way for life, essentially, for your entire lifetime, which is very demoralizing in the age of the era of the internet where things move a mile a minute.
In term limits and structural impediments to people staying forever and allowing far more significant input from the the elected bodies of our government, whether it be the executive or the legislative, that is inherently a more democratic outcome. And I'm always kind of looking for structural fixes to make our democracy more democratic.
Before I let you go, since this is Artemis II Day, Graham, if you're in the Senate and you had to choose or prioritize, as sometimes you're going to ask to be doing when it comes to budgets and spending, What's more important to you, Medicare for all or future NASA missions to the moon and Mars?
What a silly question. Medicare for all, obviously, but also like you're missing the one big one, the one that is everything, the military. The military is like 90% of our budget. It's like insane. I mean, it's not that much, but it is a significant portion. It's like $1 trillion a year or something. Like it's crazy.
Medicare for all.
Not close?
Good answer.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Providing health care to Americans, giving people good lives full of dignity and fulfillment, that comes before.
Well, it's also like a priority thing. Like that one's going to save lives. Like NASA is something cool to do once we fix our like once people's material conditions are uplifted so they're not like dying homeless on the street, you know? Like NASA is something, yeah, I love space exploration. I would love to have a government funded space program. But like we really need to get, you know, we need to fix our own planet first, I think, before we start, or at least our own country, before we put a bunch of resources into that. Personally, that's my personal opinion.
Or anything else, in my opinion.
But also just remember, the military is bigger than everything else combined. That's the easy place to pull a bunch of money and get, you know, get a ton of funding from.
Graham Platner.
Okay, sorry, I blathered probably a little too long on that one, but I'm going to move on to an article now. Let's go ahead and see. What do we got? I know. I want to read the one that I saw yesterday. This is going to be hyper specific in that it's about Missouri, but I think it's I think that this is something that a lot of people might have to deal with in the future. So we're going to read about a Missouri issue that I think will have application. So I think it will be relevant to the broader YouTube sphere of people who watch me. So. Okay, we're going to read this article. This is by Politico, or on Politico. This is Missouri town fires half its city council over data center deal. When I saw the title, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Getting rid of half of your city council over a data center. I mean, yeah, I get it. Data centers suck. But anyway, residents of a St. Louis suburb turned out in droves to unseat 4 incumbents just days after the council approved a development agreement for a $6 billion data center. Ooh, this is by Jeff Tomek. Festus, Missouri. Voters in a small Missouri town unhappy with the city council's approval of a $6 billion data center struck back at the polls last week, ousting all 4 incumbent council members running for re-election. Nice. Swift justice. Tuesday's election in Festus, Missouri, a city of 12,000 people along the Mississippi River, a half hour south of St. Louis, is the latest example of growing public backlash against cities agreeing to host hyperscale data centers over the objections of residents' concerns about their local impacts. Yeah, we also had a data center that was going to be potentially made near us, but I think they put it on hold because of public backlash. So, you know, keep putting pressure on them and eventually they'll hopefully fold. Until they inevitably just start putting them in all the like black neighborhoods or whatever, because historically that's what America does when stuff is unpopular and gets NIMBY'd out of white areas. They usually just do it involuntarily in black areas. But okay, on the same day as the Festus election, voters in Port Washington, Wisconsin, a Milwaukee suburb where tech giants Oracle and OpenAI are building a $15 billion data center campus, also registered their disapproval by overwhelmingly passing a first-of-a-kind referendum to restrict future projects. At least 3 other cities across the country will vote on similar measures this year. That's going to be popping up all over, man. And it's a good thing too. So the rout of half the Festus City Council was fueled by a surge in voter turnout and widespread frustration with the data center approval process. It's really the way the deal was handled that led to this kind of uprising, said Rick Belville, who won the nonpartisan race for Ward 4 councilman by more than 40 percentage points over incumbent Jim Tenen, who'd voted to approve the data center. The other 3 losing incumbents were Jim Collier, Brian Weiner, and Bobby Venz. The thing that kind of sucks about this, though, is well, so this is city council, but I don't think that these people are going to really care that much. I don't know if they really care if they are going to remain seated on city council. And I bet they, to some extent, lined their pockets from allowing the data center bill to pass. I don't know how, but I would guess that, they were probably wined and dined in some way to do this, because obviously data centers are very unpopular with the populations because they lead to higher energy costs, higher water costs, pollution, noise pollution, all that sort of stuff. And so the people don't want them. So if the people in charge accept them regardless of what the people want, I feel like there's got to be some sort of whining and dining happening in the background, or just like donations to their campaigns, like ungodly large donations or something. But Belleville 70 has never run for public office before and walked neighborhoods and knocked on doors during the campaign. What he learned was that residents were frustrated by the city's unwillingness to hear their constituents and general lack of transparency around the project, he said. I ran because I thought the city was not listening to people, he said, and the data center fight is far from over in Festus. Opponents are gathering signatures for a recall petition to oust the mayor and remaining 4 council members. They also filed a lawsuit Thursday against the city and developer CRG, part of Chicago-based Clayco. Technically Clayco. I assure you that's not my company, people. It's not me. I promise it's not me. I'm going to have to wipe this technically Clay thing from the bottom of my screen while I read this or something. I don't want people to think I'm affiliated. But a national real estate development and construction company. Mayor Sam Richards and CRG didn't respond to calls and emails seeking comment on the outcome of Tuesday's election or the lawsuit. Yeah, I hope that this stops it from happening. These are all the normal process ways that you can try to gum up the works to keep these things from happening. And then there's also the civil disobedience way that will probably come after that. But Mayor Sam Richards and CRG, I just read that. The city council voted March 30th to approve a development agreement for the data center plan for 360 wooded acres on the city's southwest side. The operator of the data center hasn't been identified. One of the many questions that the city and CRG have been unable or willing to answer, said Festus resident Sherman Boyle. Boyle is among the plaintiffs in the lawsuit filed Thursday. His neighborhood backs up the data center site, and he's among 11 property owners identified in the agreement as being eligible for a voluntary buyout. His neighborhood backs up to the data center site, and he's among 11 property owners identified in the agreement as being eligible for a voluntary buyout by the developer. He and others said the city and developer have downplayed any concerns about the project's effect on electric rates, water, and the impact of surrounding neighborhoods. Yeah, they always do. This was so avoidable, Boyle said of Tuesday's election outcome, urging future city officials to listen to your residents. At the core, they probably won't, but but I mean, maybe they will. I mean, this is part of it. This is part of what causes people to, what causes actual some form of democracy to exist, where they have to listen if there's enough of a public outcry. So at the core of the lawsuit challenging the reasoning of the data center and the development agreement with CRG are allegations of various secret meetings and a lack of timely public information meant to stifle opposition. Various secret meetings. Okay, interesting. I wonder who was in those secret meetings. Or if they're just saying that the public was left out of it. I don't know. Lori Merriman also lives next to the data center site. She helped form a grassroots group, Wake Up Jeffco, organized in recent months to fight data center projects in Festus and surrounding Jefferson County. Good for you. This is going almost next door to our house, said Merriman, who is not among those available for a buyout. We just built it 2 years ago. It was supposed to be our forever home. Oh, I'm sorry. Merriman initially got involved in city politics to get information about a new subdivision proposed near her neighborhood. Only in November, months after the city had begun discussions with CRG, did she and other residents learn about the data center. Yeah, I mean, this is great, though, that people are getting active, getting involved. I wish that people would do this more for other things and not just, NIMBY, we don't want it in our backyard sort of stuff. But it is any sort of organizing that gets you out of the house is a good thing. And it also just like stretches that organization muscle that is going to be necessary, when things get even worse. So, opponents said city officials' disdain for data center critics is reflected in text messages and emails obtained by Festus residents through records requests. The messages are cited in the lawsuit filed in St. Louis County Circuit Court. In one text exchange last fall, as pushback against the data center proposal began to intensify, unidentified Festus officials said the city council must avoid getting caught in the sideshow of uneducated people. Oh, God, I hate politicians, man. They always think they're so much better than everybody. In another exchange the next month, an unidentified city official discussed a need to keep the flock herded. Yeah, this is how they think of you. This is just for like city council, like, or Festus, yes, Festus officials. This is how they think of you, as a flock to be herded, as animals to be tended to, as like mindless simpletons that you just need to corral. And I'm just saying they have very little power. I want you to now imagine like what the Epstein class thinks of you. These billionaires who are untouchable, who think that they are like gods, they think this times a million. So, yeah. Yet another suggests residents would forget about the data center controversy as soon as they find out the city is getting a new Olive Garden restaurant. Wow. That's so funny. The cache of emails and texts also showed that political support for the data center went to the highest levels of state government, including Missouri Governor Mike Keogh, who agreed to lobby members of the Planning and Zoning Commission ahead of a November rezoning vote. Yeah. Yeah, this stuff is like, this is coming down from on high. Like the order of operations is the billionaires have an idea, right? Then they push that idea to the highest levels of government, all of the people with political power. Then that gets trickled down all the way through all of the various local governments, all the way through. But it all gets ordered from the top by the Epstein class. So in case people were unaware of how this sort of stuff even comes about in this like small town, it's because way up the chain, a company or OpenAI or whoever lobbied, some group or some governor in this case to gave them a bunch of bribes to get them to support like their data center plans. And then once that all happens, then they just find the right place with the right politicians that they think they can get it through at. So, but yeah, it's all ordered by the Epstein class, commanded and dictated by the Epstein class, with no will or no consideration for the people who have to live around them. The governor reached out about Monday's vote, said a message from an unidentified sender. He's willing to call the one or two folks that need to be nudged. A spokesperson for KO didn't respond to a message seeking comment. Missouri campaign finance records show a political action committee made up of labor unions that support data centers because of the jobs they create, aka like five jobs maybe is how many jobs this will create per data center. I mean, it's an ungodly low number of jobs that data centers create. Now there are jobs in terms of like construction. That's temporary though. But yeah, the actual jobs that they create is like five. They spend almost $40,000 in the final weeks of the race on newspaper and digital ads and yard signs in support of the 4 canceled members booted from office. Well, clearly it didn't work. Wake Up Jeffco organizers, meanwhile, were collecting recall signatures outside the Festus Home Depot on Friday to ask the mayor and remaining council members. Their hope is to install leadership that will listen to residents and terminate the data center contract. Mary Mann said last week's election should serve as a warning to local officials in Missouri and beyond who try to ram through big data center projects over the will of residents. We've been called the minority, but look at the polls, she said. We had record turnout and the incumbents were ousted by landslide margins. Yeah. We do have the numbers. That's the most important thing. We have the numbers. They have the money. That's how it always goes. But yeah, good job, Festus, Missouri. Let's keep the anti-data center hate train rolling. That's what I say. Okay, let's go ahead and move on over to X.com. Let's see what we got in X.com. One thing that I want to look at some point today, and I think it'll probably pop up, is I know Hassan had a debate sort of thing at Yale. I watched his debate, and it was I thought he did a really good job on that one. So I'm hoping we'll get some clips or some cope or some some hate, something to watch, or some posts about some classic Hassan derangement posts. I'm hoping that we'll see some, but okay, one sec. Let me get a drink of water. Okay, people, let's scroll through X.com. What do we got? Lena Khan. For years, Ticketmaster Live Nation has abused its power against musicians, fans, and venues dominating the live music industry while worsening it for everybody else. The jury verdict holding that the company violated state and federal antitrust laws is a key first step towards ending Live Nation's monopolistic control and securing real relief for those it harmed. Congratulations to the state attorneys general who kept litigating the case after the Trump DOJ settled cheaply and bailed. Yeah, that was an obvious corruption instance where Trump literally dropped. Lena Khan is one of those people who, she was the labor secretary or whatever, I think, under Biden. One of the best labor departments that we've ever had in a president's history was the labor secretary, or was the labor department under Lena Khan's watch. And she was a person that, again, going back to my theory before, that the most Republicans and moderates liked her. And that's because she was unapologetically pro-labor and pro-working class, essentially left-wing economic populist. And so going back to my previous argument is that works. That is the most electable position. And so, but yeah, but Trump basically got rid of the entire lawsuit that she had, I think that she had, against Live Nations, and settled. Essentially, I think just giving, because I'm sure that the Live Nation people donated a shit ton to his campaign and probably gave him side deals and stuff too. So, but yeah, I think that I guess they're continuing to litigate the case regardless. So, oh, Live Nation illegally monopolized ticketing market, jury finds. I'll have to maybe read that. Yeah. How do I do a class action here? How do I get my money back? I don't know. How much extra money did I spend on Live Nation tickets over the years? That I'd say at least $1,000. I think that they should give all of us Live Nation event goers and ticket buyers $1,000. I think that would be fair. Let's see what else we got. Bassem Youssef. Oh, the government of Israel. They released their top 10 anti-Semitic influencer list. Wow. Let's see who it is. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit more. I can't zoom in anymore. Unfortunate. Let's see, what do we got? Oh, Nick Fuentes made it. I'm glad that they actually care about and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Wow. They're really, they're really branching out. They're branching out to some right-wingers. I think that they always, well, no, I'm thinking of, there's Stop Anti-Semitism also has a list of top anti-Semites of the year, but yeah, they also got some of the best, most humane people in the world on here too, like Greta Thunberg. And Bassem Youssef, I mean, he seems like a nice guy. He's funny. I watch him a lot, or I've watched him since, he's one of the few people out there defending the Palestinian people. So, or he was back in the day. Now everybody's on the fuck Israel clock time, but yeah. Okay, let's see what else. What else we got? We got another Iranian Lego AI video has hit the timeline, people. Should we watch it? I think we should. As far as I know, I've never gotten claimed on one of these videos, so Let's go ahead and watch this this new propaganda video from Iran. Hopefully it'll be as big of a banger as that last one I watched.
Our inbox is flooded with Americans saying they don't watch the news. They listen to our songs instead, since your media is full of shit.
Talking about me.
Let's keep it 100 and talk reality. 5,000 years of Persian soul, of poetry and light. You sold nuclear threat to every camera in sight, but our leader said nukes are haram on record clear. The real atomic.
Hey, there you go. Nukes are haram. Yeah, there was a fatwa against the nukes. It was literally a religious law. It was against God to create nukes. So, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Light. You sold nuclear threat to every camera in sight, but our leader said nukes are haram on record clear. The real atomic arsenal, Tel Aviv, my dear. The IAEA in the building, they
over 100 undeclared nukes over in Israel.
Been watching the file. Israel's undeclared warheads stacked up mile by mile. You weaponized the fear of Iran to fund the machine. While AIPAC lobbied Congress and pocketed your team. While soldiers bleed for Bibi's dream. Your son-in-law cashed $2 billion from the Saudi regime. Kushner, your lobby chain is tight as choking out the globe. While your son is trading stocks inside his velvet robe. Baron, wake up.
They're taking shots at Barron. He's over 18 now, right? Like he's no longer a child. I think that's probably fair.
America, open your eyes to the devil's design. Epstein, pedophile ruler, sacrificing for Israel's line. Wake up, America, open your
I'm woke.
eyes to the.
See, the problem is they're using the term "wake up," and being woke is considered bad now. But I think woke is coming back. Woke 2.0 is coming back. So, yeah, well, I don't know. I think it's still good. It's still working for me. I'm still digging the song.
America, open your eyes to the devil's design. The world's watching your move. Don't feed the swine. Epstein's Island, 40 plus flights on the log. You the main character, Jeffrey was just a prologue. You act like a savior, but you're leaving bodies cold. How many nations have you broken? How many lies have you sold? Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Panama, Syria, Germany, Serbia, Indonesia, Cuba, Sudan, Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Yemen. We're bringing you.
Yeah. Okay, dude. There you go. For like, that's how many countries. I mean, that's just like, I don't even think that's all of them. I think there's a lot more countries that that we've destroyed than just those ones. But let's go through that list again, because yeah, I think that they left out, as far as I'm aware, a lot of the South American countries. But yeah, there's a lot of them.
Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Panama, Syria, Germany, Serbia, Indonesia, Cuba, Sudan, Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Yemen. We're bringing you freedom, bro.
Okay, that's like 19, and they did hit some of them, like Cuba and Panama, I heard. But I think there's a lot more than that they could have done. But yeah, I also didn't hear that many African countries as well.
But as for that, retribution is coming with a storm you can't tame. Iran doesn't forget, and we're coming for the game. Spoiler alert, Israel's final war, it's against y'all. Take it seriously before it's too late. They're just using you for now. Want to see the real truth? Watch how they talk on Jesus. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Yeah, that probably plays well with the hogs. So these videos are breaking containment, people. These videos, I think everybody's seeing them. I'm like, as a lefty who enjoys Iranian propaganda, or who actually goes out and watches videos from Iranian perspectives and stuff. It used to be just me that ever got to see Iranian propaganda, but these ones I do truly believe have broken containment. They are so well made. The songs go so hard, and I don't know, they're crushing it on their propaganda game. Props to them. Let's see what else we got. What else we got here? What's this? That's a little bit too long. Reprocana. Some are criticizing me for having a conversation with Marjorie Taylor Greene on Caitlin Collins, but we can't preach about dialogue and civility if we are not willing to engage with people with different viewpoints and try to find common ground. I defend our joint appearance. There's only one thing that I heavily disagree with this. is that Marjorie Taylor Greene has different viewpoints. She's woke now, right? Doesn't she have the exact same ideology as me now that she quit the Republican Party? I mean, I'm clearly joking. She's not really woke, but I like to pretend like she became a woke queen after she left Congress. But let's go ahead and listen to what Ro Khanna has to say.
Turn now
about
to
this.
Jeffrey Epstein, which of course you mentioned, and you have been a leading voice in calling for more accountability there, to the point that you actually did a joint appearance right here on CNN with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, on the other side of the aisle, a villain in many cases to the Democratic left, but you have made common cause with her. And
not to me. She's my woke queen, and she always will be. She will never. She is never going to disappoint me. I promise you. I am going to will it into existence. Okay.
Argued that this is something that could benefit Democrats going forward. I guess I'm curious. Do you embrace what she brings to the table wholesale? Is this a situation where you are just partnering with her on the Epstein files? How do you view that piece of this?
Yeah, I got quite a lot of pushback from my Caitlin Collins interview. Why are you talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene? Why are you working with her? And let me say two things. Of course, I'm working with her on issues where we have common ground, where we want to stop a war, we want to stop a president from threatening to wipe out Iranian civilization, where we want to have justice for survivors, and Marjorie Taylor Greene showed great courage. I also
See, she's a woke queen. Exactly. We don't, I'm going to cover my ears now for whatever the butt is coming after this. But see, exactly like I said, she's a woke
pointed
queen.
out there are places where we have strong disagreements on LGBTQ rights, on abortion rights,
La, 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 la,
on
la,
voting
la, la.
rights. But here's the point more broadly than the issues. I fundamentally believe in this country that we need to sit down and try to understand people who may not share our views, that we need to listen as much as talk, that we need to have dialogue with civility, and that we have to have a sense that people may have said things in the past that they regret, and that there's a possibility for redemption for all of us. That's my attitude towards politics.
Well, this is how I mean, I completely agree with all that. And I also don't care who you go on with. I don't care how repulsive the person you go on with is, or like who you talk to. I don't care who you talk to in your personal life. I don't care who you talk to in public. Fundamentally, I think that is irrelevant. You should view these sorts of interactions when it comes to interacting with opposing viewpoints as number one, as a way of reaching a new audience, a different group of people who probably haven't heard your perspective. Okay, that's number two. In terms of coalition building, that's important. But also, you should be able to go onto a thing and interact with somebody with a different viewpoint and challenge them on the things that are different. Like, it's the same way that, like, when I read something, or I read an article, or watch Fox News, or I read an article from, like, I don't know, like the New York Post or something, like you should consume those things so that you can understand opposing people's viewpoints. Even if you're not, like, if their viewpoints are stupid and wrong, you should still understand how to analyze them critically and be able to discuss and, like, talk to people who think like that. And all that sort of stuff. Like, so it's beneficial, just like, I think that it's beneficial generally all around. The only time I would say it's not beneficial if it's someone who is irrelevant. And at that point, I don't care if you do it. If you want to, you can. But if they're irrelevant, it doesn't have any actual real benefit of like the platforming question or whatever. Like, you are giving them a broader audience, then it's probably not quite worth it for someone like that. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my general opinion on it. I really do not give a shit who you go on, like what shows you go on, or whatever. Like, it's perfectly fine with me. I would encourage more people to go on shows with people they disagree with, or like even vehemently disagree with, just to broaden, like, the awareness of your cause. And yeah, like he said, like, you can find common ground on a lot of things, even with the most chud ass people. And you can push back on the things that like are abhorrent about their worldview as well. It's I don't know. There's nothing wrong. Platform policing is stupid. So I'm glad we're kind of moving past that. Oh yeah, wanted to find some of that Hassan stuff. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, here's one. Okay. Hassan Piker. Let's go ahead and watch this. This is
just wait.
Ah, guys, so loud on Twitter sometimes. So by the way, okay, I watched this whole thing. I watched this whole Hassan debate thing at Yale. Couple things. Number one, they have an interesting way of doing like whether you dislike or like what the person said. If you dislike it in this interview or in this debate or whatever, like all the people in the audience, you hiss. Like it's really weird and it's probably going to happen in here. So I'm just giving you a little bit of a warning so you're not confused. There's going to be people hissing like snakes if he says something that they don't like. But also if they like it, then they stomp or like stuff like that. And generally, like I'm fine with that because I think the main point of that is to keep people from like talking over him or like booing so hard that it like stops the flow of the conversation and stuff. So I think it's fine. But I know that this particular quote though, the fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century. This is by RNC Research says, this is who Democrats are embracing. This is going to be one that we're probably going to see for a little while because it really bricks a lot of people's brains when people talk about the collapse of the USSR and how much destitution and poverty that brought. So let's go ahead and watch Hassan's comment here, and then we'll discuss a little further.
The fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century. Just wait, listen, maybe you'll agree. Not only was there incalculable harm done to every single country under its banner, child prostitution, skyrocketing suicide rates, life expectancy plummeting, but America was no longer contested around the globe. And it is precisely because of the end to that multipolarity that we saw accelerated neoliberalism that is devastating every Western nation right now. Unlimited and unchecked greed. Our successes are leading to our own demise and the demise and collapse of the liberal system.
Yeah.
The U.S. has produced disaster after disaster after disaster.
Yeah, I mean, that is all just facts. He just said facts there. The fall. So this is one of those clips that I think the quote itself lends itself to like being a lot more like getting a lot more people worked up in reactionary baiting or whatever than the actual full context clip that we just watched, because everything he said was factual. The fall of the USSR was terrible for the countries who were a part of it. It was awful, and it was technically illegal. So it shouldn't have happened for that reason as well. However, like those facts are just objective. Like you can't argue with that. You can't say that you're wrong. The only thing you could say is the ideology of it was the ideology of communism was so bad that that short-term pain or something of the fall of the USSR and all of that child prostitution and all of the suicide rates going up and all the unnecessary deaths that happened afterward were actually worth it in order to prevent the communist dystopia that was just right around the corner, or whatever. That could be like the best argument that you could put up against that. But objectively, it was terrible for the people who were a part of the USSR. But I also completely agree with Hassan's assessment that it was terrible for the United States as well, because the United States without an actual like counterbalancing system or ideology tends to just like it just goes insane and like starts like creating villains and destabilizing places just to destabilize them. Like that's kind of what we've seen. And like some of our best inventions, along with our best like accomplishments, came from our actual rivalry with the USSR as well. That's a thing that a lot of people don't like talk about either. And so yeah, and then like Hassan says in the speech, like then America, after the fall of the USSR, and it had nowhere to point its guns, inevitably just pointed its guns back at itself and its own people. And so yeah. Oh, hello. What's up? Did you want to? Oh, okay. Are we still going? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, whatever you want to do. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, change of plans for me. I'm not going to Stranger Things trivia later, so I can stay on just a little bit longer. But anyway, I guess I don't know if I finished my thoughts on that one, but yeah, I don't know. We'll probably see some more clips. Maybe I'll talk some more about some of the other clips that are rage baiting people right now. Also, I think a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the things that Hassan's saying are actually not that radical. Like these are things that people understood for a long period of time before this current era of neoliberalism that we're living in, where we're not allowed to even talk about socialism or communism without it being a boogeyman word or whatever. But a lot of these things were like well known and well studied before it became as taboo as it is today. But yeah, okay, let's move on now. Wow. Okay, this could be fun. We got a bird. A bird is joining the cause, people. The cause against autonomous drones flying around and you know, capturing all of our facial recognitions and throwing it into Palantir or whatever. This bird said, "No way, Jose." I don't know if I can listen to that audio, but it's going for it. That bird is attacking. Yeah, he's like, "Get out of here." If I could fly, that's what I'd be doing. This would be, if I had a superpower, like, and I could fly, this is all I would be doing, is I would be going around swatting these drones out of the air like they're flies. Okay, what else we got? Sam Piker has revealed that hundreds of Democratic candidates across the country have reached out to help promote their campaign. Abdul El-Sayed's campaign recently saw a 29% increase in volunteer signups and a 221% increase in donations following his rally with Hassan. Yeah, that's the main reason that you want Hassan. It's not necessarily because everybody knows him and is going to tune in, or it's going to bring like a ton of awareness or whatever. But the people who do like Hassan are going to donate, and they are going to be much more likely to volunteer for your campaign. So that's why you would want to reach out to him if you are a left populist candidate. Oh, nice. Let's look at this. Dozens of dildos filled the driveway of the ICE facility in Portland, Oregon. Way to go. Let me see if I can get this more centered. Okay, there we go. No audio, but yeah, look at all them dildos. Why don't you pick them up with your hands? They're probably too, they're probably like worried that it'll make them gay if they touch it with their hands. Like, I'm not lying. I almost guarantee you that is the reason that they're kicking them around and not actually just picking them up like normal human beings would with any other piece of trash, is because they probably think it's going to turn them gay if they touch it. These people are very insecure. These are some of the thinnest ICE officers I've seen. I mean, they're still pretty fat, but They're definitely a lot thinner than some of the other ones I've seen. Let's see. Pope Leo. God's the person closest to God. God's heart is torn apart by wars, violence, and injustice and lies, but our Father's heart is not with the wicked, the arrogant, or the proud. God's heart is with the little ones and the humble, and with them he builds up his kingdom of love and peace day by day. Wherever there is love and service, God is there. Yeah, you know what? I like that one, Pope. 160,000 likes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. God really really touched this post. He really promoted it. He got the God boost on this post. But yeah, this is obviously aimed at well, it sounds like this is aimed towards Donald Trump when he's talking about the wicked and the arrogant. But yeah, let's see what we got. This is Starbucks Workers United. These are, I guess, a bunch of people doing promotions for Starbucks. Me and my wife used to really like Starbucks cups or whatever, but we've been off Starbucks since primarily since they sued their union, I think, for having a pro-Palestine post or something, to try and silence their dissent against the genocide in Gaza. But also because they they're refusing to work proactively with their union and committing tons of labor violations 24/7. So that's the reason that we keep doing it at this point.
You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You have lost.
Yeah, they're really going the social media route with those strings. Janet Mills asked tonight if she thinks Israel's committing genocide in Gaza, says that there is current genocide ongoing in Sudan and Somalia, also mentions Rwanda.
Governor, I was wondering, so for the past couple of years, the International Association of Genocide Scholars has recognized that there is ongoing genocide in Gaza. Do you recognize or deny this ongoing genocide?
I recognize, as I said before, that October 7th was a horrific event.
Deflection.
The things that happened in Gaza are also horrific and they're unnecessary and cruel. I think bombing civilian facilities of any sort is a violation of international law, and that leaving children starving in the streets is inhumane and a violation of international law.
Yeah, those are all acts of genocide, especially when you go out and say, we want to commit genocide. Hey, let's go commit genocide. And then you go out and do all of these actions. That is why all of these organizations have decided, like, come to the obvious conclusion that Israel is committing genocide. And the genocide started way before October 9th or whenever they actually sent in ground troops, by the way. The genocide has been ongoing for the past 80 years. It's the longest genocide, as far as I know, like, of human history.
As I said before, I believe the Palestinian people and Israeli people deserve a safe place to live in security without terrorist actions. I think that many people.
There's a lot more terrorists on one side than the other. Just saying. And it's not Hamas. Hamas has like 50,000 members. The IOF is like hundreds of thousands of terrorists in their organization. So
I disagree with a lot of things that Mr. Netanyahu has done. I don't blame the Israeli people for
this
that.
Classic lib shit, dude.
But I do think that they deserve. I believe in
the Israeli people are completely on board with Netanyahu's policies. So that's a silly. You're just trying to scapegoat. Like, it's a classic case of trying to scapegoat one man for the, you know, like, I'm not saying that every Israeli wants to, but the vast majority of them do want to commit genocide against the Palestinian people.
The Israeli state has a right to exist, and the Palestinian people have a right to exist as well. Thank you.
Are you denying the genocide?
There's genocide right now going on in Sudan. Rwanda is genocide. There's genocide going on in Somalia.
True.
I'm concerned about those countries.
Oh, you're able to say those are genocides, but you're not able to say this one is? Why is that? This isn't helping prove your point. You pointed to other genocides, and then now, and you're saying that those are, but you're saying that this one, for some reason, is different, and I'm not allowed to say it. Like, this is why you've lost the argument already. Nobody believes you anymore. Everybody understands that it's a genocide.
Well, as the Middle East, okay? There's a lot we have to be concerned about, a lot on our plate.
Yeah, trying to be politically correct. What else we got? Oh, so sometimes I watch the College Humor, or is it not College Humor? Dropout. Did it used to be College Humor? I can't remember. But they have like that show with like Brendan Lee Mulligan and stuff. They have that game show. I used to watch that a lot. They also used to have that Actually show, which I liked a lot. And this is another person that I've seen on their shows. And I think she has a show on Dropout as well, where she like interviews people in like absurd makeup, where they come up with the character and go on her show. So I think this is like this is a segment from that, if I had to guess. So I'm just giving you guys like the background, because I don't think a lot of people would know who this is or what this is that we're about to watch. So this is a person, I think, that's going to be in absurd makeup pretending to be a character that they just made up like right before they came out to do this interview.
So I'm going to apologize to the dry eye community. I didn't realize that.
Take accountability.
Okay. So
you can do it to me. I'm the one who offended.
So then we'll do it like that. To Paloma and the rest of the dry-eyed community,
when you do the dry-eyed community part, then you should stand and say it to the community.
Oh, I see. Paloma.
Yes.
And the dry-eyed community. I would like to sincerely apologize and take accountability for the fact that I did not realize.
No, you didn't. Continue. Not everyone will forgive you.
Okay, so you're sort of being the audience in this situation.
Yes,
I am sorry. I would like to open my heart and let you know that I didn't realize that some people cry without tears.
What are you gonna do in the future? Stop making excuses!
Okay, and in the future, I will realize that some cry without tears, some scream without voices, and you are still a valuable member of society.
Ooh.
And I will make a donation. I will make a monetary donation to Visine.
They need it.
And the Johnson & Johnson Corporation.
They're so poor.
$500. I will donate 5,000. 100.
Okay, you're sweating. It's okay.
So we'll sort of figure out maybe that money amount after that.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. So you could see that was a person, like I said, in absurd makeup. They were doing an interview, and I guess she insulted the dry-eyed community, people who cry without tears. And she did a incredible apology, one of the best apologies I've ever seen. She kind of fizzled out when it came to the monetary compensation that she had to give for her insults to the dry-eyed community. But what do we got here? Oh, Ilhan Omar?
She walked.
I didn't know Ilhan Omar went on Adam Friedland's show. It's out now. Oh, I'll have to watch that one. I like Ilhan. Let's see if this clip is any good.
To Kenya as an 8-year-old. You're a 9-year-old, you know, like.
Close enough. I didn't walk all the way to Kenya, but yes.
Well, you don't say walk to them. Make it sound worse. Just let me do the, let me do the Jewish thing. She walked to Kenya. Is that where your bravery comes from? I mean, or am I off base?
You know, there are people who do end up being broken, right? But I think it did the opposite for me. I think it gave me a sense of, like, I survived all of these things that could have destroyed me, could have killed me. And so what is the point of having fear? I mean, I have irrational fear of certain things, but I don't
like what?
have...
Snakes?
I'm a little, like, claustrophobic.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, like, because we had to hide under beds, you know, when the bombs would drop, and or like try to hold on to the side of a wall just to make sure if it collapsed that you could crawl out. Yeah.
I feel bad for saying me too.
Sorry, I got a little distracted there. I was looking for sometimes, like, not all of my comments in my Streamlabs chat or whatever show up, so I was trying to see if there was like a way to like refresh it or something, but I couldn't find anything. Oh well. Oh, okay, we got another. Oh, wait, where'd I go? What's going on here? Did I get put back up to the top somehow? Well, I was going to watch that video, that Hassan clip, but it's gone. I don't know where it went. Okay, well, I guess I won't watch that one. The X.com said no, that's too based. You can't watch it. Well, this person, Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupus, I mean, I don't know this person, so I'm not going to say anything, because if they actually are anti-Semitic, I don't want to say congrats. But if I knew who she was, if it was Greta or Bassem, then I would be like, congrats. Sure. This is one of those things that, like, if I see, I'm like, okay, sure. This is like a anecdote or whatever. I don't believe, I don't know if this is like an actual problem or something. It is ironic, though. It is like end time shit, right? A bunch of bees flying around, like, attacking everything in Israel. Like, that is kind of like end time shit, but I don't know if that's real or not. Okay, I've seen that before. Speaking of Stranger Things, right? I'm not going to get into this right now. I firmly do not believe that what you consume in any way indicates what your value system is or whatever. I will partake in actual boycotts, but I also do not enforce my boycotts on others as well. So, but I will partake in boycotts, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't think that, like, everybody needs to not consume a particular piece of content because of this, unless it's in a coordinated campaign or it's actually BDS, then I will try my hardest to, like, align with it. But yeah, just saying. Okay, I wanted to get more Hassan clips though of that thing. Here's one. No, that's not Hassan speaking. That's the girl who came after. She was really cool. She went way harder than Hassan did. In terms of, like, her, I guess we can watch it real quick. I don't want to commentate too much on it though, because I'm trying to find another Hassan clip to get a video out that's like up to like 10 minutes or so.
Their quote unquote more benevolent empire. What I and what the Left Project in general is aiming for is the complete dissolution of that hierarchical system of international control, power, and economic coercion. Where power should end up and where power should resolve is in the international hands of people, of human beings, not.
This person's definitely an international socialist, which is cool and all. I love the ideals. I am not personally. I mean, I think that one day we will get to international socialism, but I think that it has to go through the process of national socialism first, personally.
Not of governments, not of corporate leaders, not of stock traders, not of the monsters who would bomb life on Earth into oblivion for another cent in their stock portfolio.
Yeah. Based. Yeah, she is pretty based. I like her. Okay, here we go. We got another clip from the actual thing. We'll watch it and then we'll analyze it.
What was the point of defeating the Nazis if we went on to dominate so much of the globe as violently as we have? So that we could have the rest of the world to ourselves? The Guatemalan president, Juan Jose Arevalo, delivered a speech at the height of the American pressure campaign that kind of channels that exact same question. Before the coup d'etat, he said these words, and I think those words still ring true today. He said, and I quote, "The war that began in 1939 ended, but in the ideological dialogue between the two worlds and two leaders, Roosevelt lost the war. The real victor was Adolf Hitler. It is my personal opinion that the contemporary world is moved by the ideas that served as the foundation on which Hitler rose to power.
Complete agreement. I completely agree. I personally believe it was a complete fluke that America ended up on the side of good when it comes to World War II. That was more like, you know, because America generally wanted to stay out of it until Pearl Harbor. And then that was kind of what brought us in. But in terms of like ideology, Hitler learned most of how he organized society and how he organized the apartheid system that he created for the Jews from America. Like he learned it from America's Jim Crow laws in particular, but also like America's history with the indigenous people here and America's history with slavery and all that sort of stuff. Like a lot of people don't like to understand that Adolf Hitler kind of learned it from watching us. And he just took it to its like next logical steps. And then the success of America of defeating Hitler and Nazism led to a kind of like back burner of like American fascism kind of being put on the back burner as neoliberalism accelerated into the dominant monoculture that it has become. But it was always there, and it was always ready to come back to prominence, which we're seeing right now. And you know, it'll probably, yeah. I don't know. I think that that's just a very good quote, a very astute observation. And I'm not obviously the only person who has like thought that, but yeah, I think that's a great quote.
70 years later, I think history has proven Arevalo right.
Yep.
In place after place, time after time, the United States can never settle down its imperial bloodlust, this forever hunt for manifest destiny. We can draw a straight line from indigenous massacres of the early United States to the 20th century, killing fields that we have created in the third world.
Yep, it's all interconnected, it's all related. And yeah, this time we are much more clearly the baddies, I believe. But what do you know? Okay, I'm gonna find one more funny one and get out of here probably. So let's see if I can find something fun. Oh, I watched this earlier on YouTube. Let's see. That's not funny. That's not funny. Yeah, the Stephen Miller, Jesus. The most lizardy of lizard people out of all of the lizard men. Liberal men aren't attractive is what Katie Miller said. Katie Miller, I don't even know what you look like, but let's see here. They have pictures. I mean, she probably has MAGA face like everybody else, but yeah, you're married to this snake dude, so. Okay, come on, let's find something funny. Do. Yeah, okay, if this is her, yeah, she shouldn't be tossing stones, okay? I don't claim to be the most attractive person in the world, but that's why I don't throw stones. Actually, I guess I do throw stones, but I throw them specifically only at terrible people, so I get a pass. At least that's what I think. Oh, we got some more flotilla action. Gotta love it. Going full One Piece mode. Bring in, bring in goods and necessary humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people, the concentration camp that is Gaza. You know, gotta love it. Breaking. Speaking at Yale, the fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century. Ugopnik says this take couldn't be uttered 10 years ago, and 10 it will be the mainstream opinion. One day at a time, class consciousness is a diesel engine, hard to start up, but when it gets going, everyone hears it. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. This will, as class struggle becomes even more prominent and conditions and contradictions worsen, these types of opinions, you know, they will be much more mainstream. Okay, we need something fun, though. We need something fun. That's all I'm looking for. I didn't watch all of the people who spoke after him. I don't know if I really feel like watching that one, though. I don't think that's going to be funny. Okay, this looks like an AI video. Maybe it'll be funny. If it's funny enough, then I'm going to call it after this one. So this is from Anonymous. Let's see what it is.
Are you suffering from a serious life-threatening illness?
Oh, it's Trump as a doctor, I guess. He was looking very Jesus-y, but we already know that Trump enjoys envisioning himself as Jesus, as the most recent post that he put up made.
Are you suffering from a serious life-threatening illness? Has your doctor told you you're probably going to die? My name is Dr. Donald Trump, and I have helped millions of patients with conditions just like yours. Cancer, heart disease, ALS, you name it. Conditions your doctor said.
Oh, what did I say before, though? If your doctor comes at you like this with glowing hands and tries to touch you, I don't know if you should accept that treatment. Like, you might want to get a second opinion. This is mysticism. This is not doctor
Conditions
stuff.
your doctor said were untreatable. I've seen them all and I fixed them all. I use an advanced technique that the cheating medical establishment don't want you to know about. The results are, frankly, incredible. Nobody gets results like this. They're the greatest results.
They gave me 6 weeks to live, but then I called the hotline and was healed entirely through the phone.
I was clinically brain dead, and my wife was about to pull the plug when the doctor saved my life.
If you or someone you love is suffering, don't wait. Don't let the corrupt medical establishment tell you what's possible. Call 1-900-NOT-JESUS today. Let's make your health great again. Are you suffering?
I don't know if that one's good enough. Sorry, people. I gotta find a better one. Oh, I did see this earlier. Dave Chappelle says he resents how the Republican Party ran on transgender jokes. I felt like they were doing a weaponized version of what I was doing. That's not what I was doing. Okay, yeah, right, dude. If you couldn't see exactly how your transphobia was going to be used by political parties to demonize people and scapegoat people, then you're just like too fucking stupid to be doing trans jokes. Like, sorry. Okay, what do we got? I don't know who that is. Okay, what's this one? From Austin Show.
He does not like theater. There is no way. If I was like, Hassan, do you want to go see White Christmas with me? He'd go, no. That's what he would say. He does.
That's a pretty good one. That was pretty funny. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna scroll back to the top. What's this? Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the top, and we're gonna see new posts. And if we don't find anything funny in the new posts, then I'm sorry. That last one is gonna be it. The biblically accurate Hassan. What's this?
You know, a lot of feelings that are being missed is like right now we are living in a society where there is a lot of immigrants and Latinos that are literally in concentration camps.
Yeah.
And so maybe the
Guys, I don't think this one's going to be very funny. I'm going to go ahead and move on because I'm trying to find something funny so that I can get out of here. Let's see. What do we got? I have to end it on something funny. I have to. Oh, I feel like I'm back to where I was already. I thought there were new posts.
Do this, and we may stop by Cuba after we're finished with this.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, maybe we'll see. We're already so stretched so thin. I don't know if we're gonna make it. I don't know if we're gonna make it to Cuba. I remember seeing that the other day. What do we got? Come on. Come on, X, you can do it. Throw something funny in my face. That doesn't sound like it's going to be funny. Okay, the Woker. This is going to be it, people. Whether this is funny or not, this is going to be it. This is Will Neff. He's a streamer just like me. Exact same amount of popularity, exact same reach. So let's go ahead and see what he has to say. He says you can't outwoke the woker. So let's see.
I actually use women's deodorant because I don't believe in gendered deodorant.
But then, you believe
he's talking to Austin Show right now. For the record.
But then, you believe. Well, you're using a woman's deodorant though, so you believe.
No. Yes, but I don't believe we should gender deodorant, so I use women's deodorant.
But that you're still buying into the gendered element of it.
No, I'm not.
There are deodorants that don't market to men or women.
Right.
You buying a woman's deodorant is still buying into the idea that
yes,
there
but
are
I
gender.
don't see it as a woman's deodorant. You see what I'm saying? I don't see it. It was named a woman's deodorant, but I said I don't see it as a woman's deodorant at all. I think it's just deodorant.
Which deodorant are you?
Well, if he actually believed that, he wouldn't have called it women's deodorant. So,
but a floral scent.
I don't know. It's a very effeminate smelling.
Very girly deodorant, it's so girly.
But I don't see it as a woman's deodorant. I mean, men can be effeminate too. It could be any.
Right.
So I think it could be anything really when you're thinking about it.
Yep, you're right.
I don't think I don't see any gender.
You know what? I agree. You can't outwoke the woker. His background is crazy, dude. My God.
But I don't.
Like, who is this? Who is this over here? That's wild. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's gonna have to do it, people. I gotta get out of here. Apparently, I am raiding tonight. So, anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. And that's about it. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye bye.